Hey friends, what's going on? So a lesson here for Sweet Virginia by the Rolling Stones, and specifically I'm going to look at the intro to this song, okay? And the way I'm going to approach this is I'm going to show you the foundation, right? The lay of the land of this intro, the chords, the strumming, the progression, some of the defining bass, walk-ups and walk-downs and hammer-ons, right? Give those to you, and then from there I'll show you how to go about complicating things, making things a bit more, advanced, and if that's what you want to go for, or if you want to just keep things simple, that'll work too. So let's look at the PDF I'm going to use. This will give you the sort of the framework I'm going to be basing this off of, right? So this is a 20-bar section here, right? The first 4 bars are just the guitars. The distinctive harmonica starts on the 5th measure, okay? And those second 4 bars you're going to actually repeat. You're going to play these 4 bars twice each. Then you go to this next 4 bars, which is super similar, but it ends with a C before we go to the final 4 measures, right? And this is kind of like one big turnaround. And the very distinctive and very cool sounding lead fill is played in these final 2 measures. So I'll show that to you as well, but even if you want to skip out on this lead fill, you'll be good to go with this intro. And you'll see here that this tab is very approximate, right? I'm not trying to capture every single strum of every single note and every single string, because that just gets crazy when you're trying to sort of mimic and capture that in tab form. It makes it a very visually noisy and busy and hard to follow document. So the idea is you take this is the chords, it's the distinctive bass notes, right? And then you can add strumming to this as you prefer and as you're able. If you don't want to get complicated with the strumming, you don't have to. You can keep it simple and just play what I've given you. It'll sound just like Sweet Virginia. But if you want to up your sort of strumming game and get a bit more nuance with some of the fills, use this as a starting point and just use the skills you have to sort of take things to the next step. And sure enough, I'm going to show you some of the more complicated and subtle things you can do. But again, start with what's simple. We'll go from there and we'll be in good shape. All right. So again, this PDF, you can get it at my website, playsongnotes.com. I have many, many, many other lessons as well if you enjoy this. Okay. So first up, I want to talk really quick about the chords we're going to need. The good news is it's quite straightforward. Just open basic chords here now. We're in capo, 2nd fret, and that lets us play with the Rolling Stones album version of this. First chord we'll need is G. Whether you want to play G like, with the B string, 3rd fret, you can do that. You can leave the 2nd string open. You can do whatever fingering works for you for a G chord. D, we'll need a D chord. Okay, we'll need a C chord. Okay, basic C chord. If you want to do the sort of typical modification of the C with a G bass note, 3rd fret on the low E string, you can, but you don't have to, okay? And then the final chord is this A7. Now, maybe it's an A major as far as what the Rolling Stones are playing. Not a big difference there, really. I like the A7 because it sounds a bit more dramatic with the 7th, tone. And it's easier to switch to. That's another nice feature of the A. But the fact that this is a major A chord is what makes this kind of not normal, right? This song is in the key of G, but this chord sort of is out of place. Normally you would have a minor. You'd have a minor A in the key of G, but this is taking a major A, which kind of like makes you look, give yourself a second look, or what's it called? Double take, right? Anyway, it sounds good. Those are the 4 chords we'll need, right? G, D, C, and A7. Okay, now the strumming. This is really where things get, this is, I think, the heart of this lesson, really, because there's some nuance here, even though it's not that complicated, but there's a lot you can do with the strumming. The simplest way to approach it, though, is like this, where we're going to be doing all down strums on the 1, 2, 3, and 4 counts, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, the first thing I'll say is the 2 and the 4 counts, or where you kind of want to put your emphasis and accent. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And conversely, or alternatively, or whatever, at the same time, on the 1 and the 3 counts, you want to be doing just a gentle brush of the bassiest 1 or 2 strings of whatever chord you are playing. So if I'm playing a G chord, on the 1 and the 3 counts, I'm just going to do a light brush of the, 6th and 5th string. And on the 2 and the 4, I'll do the full strum. So you put that together, it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can do this for every chord in the song, right? Let's do a D next. Right, a C. And a A7. Right, you get the idea, right? This is something you want to get comfortable with. It's all down strums, it's pretty approachable there, but you really want to, you don't want all the down strums to be the same volume, because that's just gonna not be that interesting, to be honest. You want a nice leisurely shuffle feel to this, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how to approach it, right? The next step, if you can, is in between all the down strums, on the 8th notes, we want to add an up strum. So down, up, so down, up, 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So the 2 and the 4 are going to keep the accent. The 1 and the 3 are going to keep the bass note, right? But on all the and counts, we're going up, and when we go up, we kind of want to aim for those maybe 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings, or maybe the thinnest 1 or 2 strings. You don't want to get all 6 strings. You just kind of want to do a light brush, okay? And it would sound like this, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3. And with these up strums, less is more, right? Just keep your pick moving and kind of just bring it into the strings sometimes. Okay, so that's going to be the sort of stuff. I'm going to show you more of the strum later in context, but that's going to be what I would recommend as far as the 2 strum patterns you keep in your mind, right? It's pretty simple as far as the down and ups. It's all about the nuance and how you play the strings. But let me talk now about the riff itself for the intro here. So this is, it's a lot of measures, but we'll go through line at a time, and you'll kind of get the idea pretty quickly, I think. So the first line, let's just look at this using the simple strum at this, right? It's going to be a measure of G, a measure of D, and then 2 measures of G. So if I was to play that with normal strums, the simple strum, it would be like this, right? D, and back to G, right? Now, but you'll notice it might not sound like Sweet Virginia yet, and that's because we're missing those distinctive bass notes that are connecting all the chords. So I'm going to assume that you have the strumming under control now. And now let's just look at the sort of connecting notes between the chords. The first of these is going to be the 3 notes that lead off, right? These, right? Open, 4th, 3rd, 2nd string. This happens before the first measure, right? So the thing I'll say about this, the trick, is that these are notes that are in the G chord. So start off by getting your hand in the G shape, and then just play the, right? And then go into the first G chord. Another tip I'll give you about this is you might want to count off the full measure, and then you'll notice that these notes occur on the and 4 and counts, right? So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. You can do a nice little like a loop like that, right? That's a good way to practice that, okay? The next little connecting fill we're going to do is on the first measure. Okay, we're going to basically, on the and 4 and counts, we're going to play an open D string. If you can, hammer onto the 2nd fret, or just play 2nd fret as its own note, and then play the open 3rd string, okay? So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, okay? One more time, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, if you're familiar with the song, you'll notice the timing in reality is a bit trickier. It's a triplet, and it's on I think the 4 counts, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and triplet, 1 and 2 and 3. I'm not going to get into that right now because it's a bit more complicated than we need to make it at the moment, right? But again, the basic idea is not to do that. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's the first little fill. The second one is just going to be a simple 1-note walk down from the D. This note right here, it's a C note, and we're going to use that on the 4 count of the D measure to get ready to go back down to the G. Okay, so the D measure. And this is the G. Okay, so for the G measures, the walk downs and walk ups are going to be on the 3 and the 4 counts, and they're going to be on the 5th string, right? The first one's going to be a walk down from 3rd fret to 2nd fret, and then to the G bass note, strum, open 5th, 2nd fret 5th. And this is in the 4th measure, by the way. So the 2 G measures. Okay, now let's play full first line, just what I have tabbed here. And then what I'm going to do is play the same thing, but I'm going to add in the up strums, and you'll see what I'm talking about, okay? Okay? With the up strums, that would sound like this. Okay? Now the up strums, what I'll say there is, don't necessarily worry about what strings you are pushing down on those up strums, especially during the walk ups and walk downs at the end of each measure. You'll notice when I was doing that, a lot of my times my up strums were just on open strings. Check out, listen again to the up strums. I'm gonna do it very slow. On that third and fourth measure, my up strums, I was purposely, just for effect here, kind of not pushing down anything on the upper three strings, just to show you it's okay. If you're doing your up strums subtly, you'll just get this nice sort of, these filler notes that are kind of being overshadowed by the bass notes that are walking up and down, right? The bass notes are what's grabbing your ear's attention. All the other little plucks are just kind of, you know, nice little acoustic noise. And it's okay if you don't have a chord pushed down. But let's move on to this second measure now. So the second measure, if we were to do the simple strum, it would be C to A7 to G. 2 measures of G, right? One more time. Now the next time I play this, I'm gonna do the actual tab here, right? 3, 4, 1. Play this twice. Now let me do it again with the up strums, right? And you'll hear the difference. Okay, so a lot of familiar stuff here. Basically the first measure, going from this C, we're walking it down, which we did in the previous third measure we were playing. Now we're going to an A7. Now after the A7, we're gonna go to an open E string, 2nd fret E string, and then 3rd fret on the E string, which is our G for the third measure of this second set here, right? Now for the G, because we're on it for 2 measures, what I like to do is alternate between the 6th and the 4th. And I put a strum between each, right? So 6th string strum, 4th string strum, 6th string strum, walk it up. Walk it down, walk it up. Alternate, walk it up, right? And do it one more time. And I'll do with the up strums here slow. Okay, so that's going to be the second measure. That's where the harmonica starts in the actual album version of this song. It's a very distinctive part for sure. And you're going to play that twice. Okay, those 4 measures, play them straight through, and then play them again. Okay. Then we move on to the next 4 measures, which are identical to what we just played. The only difference is this C measure at the very end, right? And what I have you doing here is basically alternating between the 5th string strum, 4th string strum. And on the 4th string, what we're going to do is hammer on from open to 2nd, right? This is something that I think Keith does throughout this song, and he might not be doing it in this exact measure, but I want to introduce it here because it's a good skill to have. If you can't do the hammer on, just alternate between the 5th and the 4th. Right? Just do this. But if you can, do the hammer on, right? So those 4 measures would be like this. if you did the full strumming, it would sound like this. Okay? And then let's move on to the last 4 measures here before I show you some more cool little tricks you can do for the whole thing overall. The final 4 measures are going to be this, right? We're going to be going from G to D to G, right? Just like the first 4 measures, the entire thing. Now, the connecting tissues here, little lead fills, little bass lines. For the G, we're going to go from 6th string to 5th string, and we're going to hammer on the 3rd count of the first measure here, right? This is our G measure. Now for the D, we're just going to alternate between the 5th and 4th. And then we go back to the final 2 measures of G. Okay, this is exactly how we did the 2 bars of G at the very beginning of the song. Okay? Now about this last 4 measures here, this is where there is a lead fill that happens in the final 2 measures. Here's what the fill looks like. Just for context, you would start this fill on the 2nd count of the 2nd to last measure. Okay, so the fill consists of all triplets, right? Groups of 3 notes that technically each make up 1 beat. So every group of 3 is 1 beat. So you might count that as triplet, 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 or whatever your music teacher might have taught you. But it would be in time with the 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that just from this tab. I'm not super fluent in it at the moment yet, but the idea is to. So those are the notes. I recommend practicing this in groups of 3 and only do 1 or 2 or 3 of the triplets at a time, right? So at first you might just do the, get used to doing that. Right, bring in the next one. And so on and so forth, and you put them all together, and if you get really good, you can play that with in time with everything else, and then go into the verse, right? I can't show you how to do that fluently in this lesson in time. I haven't practiced enough yet. This is sort of me working out this intro. So this is the notes you'll need. Take it, practice it, take it slow, and you'll be in good shape. One cool thing though I want to show you with this intro is how in the second to last line and last line, there's this very distinctive lead guitar noise you'll hear in the album version, right? The da-da-da-da-da, and it's very high up. What you can do is mimic that in what you're playing. So let me go to the 2nd line here, 2nd to last line. Check this. So what I'm doing there is, so you see the tab here, and the idea is basically we're gonna use the 2nd and 3rd string and put our pinky down from open to 3rd on the 2nd string, and then put our middle finger down on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. Okay, this is the little riff that Keith or whoever is actually playing. They're playing it an octave higher, and it sounds really badass. But right now, right? So you do that twice. And that last little slide, I'm on the D. You can just slide your index finger up from 2nd to 4th, back down, and then go back to the final G. And then if you can, then you start the verse, right? From there. So let me do the whole playthrough for you. I'm going to do it once with the simple strumming, then I'll do it once with the up strums, and you'll hear what I'm talking about, right? For this Sweet Virginia intro. All right, so there we have it. That's basically how you need to apply the chords and the progression and whatever strumming you want to do in combination with whatever fills you want to do to really hit this Sweet Home Virginia sweet spot by the Stones. And again, this is trying to get you started with it. If you want to play it exactly like Keith does or whatever, listen to recordings, listen to different lessons. I've watched a bunch before this one, and it's hard because as a teacher, you have to make a decision. Do I make this a very, very easy lesson just for the beginners, or do I want to make this just for the advanced people? I kind of like starting with the simple and then moving it in the direction of intermediate and advanced. But, you know, getting the note for note stuff and especially writing it up, that's not satisfying for me. And I think for new guitarists, that's hard to consume, right, when you're learning something. So I hope this was helpful for you. And again, you can get the PDF at my website, playsongnotes.com, and look out for the lesson for the full song, which uses the chord progressions and chords and strumming that you already know from this. So you're already more than halfway there. But thanks very much for watching, y'all. This has been David Potts. I'm going to leave you now. Have a good one wherever you are, and bye-bye.